Hi guys, it's hard to believe that I am doing another design trends video. I feel like I just did 2022 and now we're on to 2023. Holy moly, what a year it has been. So today I'm going to go over the trends that we think will be hot for 2023. Now, some of these things we've already heard about, they're continuing to ramp up. I find that's the one thing that's really interesting with trends. Unlike fashion with interior design, sometimes it's a bit of a slow incoming. And we see it start to happen over time. So you start to see things in, magazines or maybe, on the internet if you follow some certain design, magazines or blogs, etc. And then you start seeing it more in the mainstream. So I'd say like retail and corporate spaces or, on TV, etc. And then it kind of winds down where it actually gets into our homes and we actually start to see this stuff happening in the day-to-day. So I'm excited because I am absolutely seeing a lot of this stuff really take off, and we have been talking about some of it for a while, and some of it is just getting hotter and hotter, which means it's definitely here for the next, foreseeable future. I find with design trends, we tend to do like about a 10-year cycle. Some things come and go really quickly, and other things, they're around for the next decade or so. And we really see, people embracing a certain style, a certain look, a certain color scheme, a certain feel. And that's what I'm seeing happen, right now. So one of the first items that I believe I've talked about before, but I'm going to mention it because it's still hot, it's still on trend, it's still going to continue to be on trend, is this bringing back of these arches. So you're seeing a lot of curves in general, but archways in particular, you're seeing a ton of it. I actually was just driving downtown and they were doing refacing the front of like a building. And there's this walkway that goes kind of like through them to the back parking area. And they actually had done a arched entrance to that. And it used to be square. So I thought, oh, cool, look at that. Like right there happening in front of me. So it's really a throwback to that Renaissance architectural style, having those archways. And if you do like some of the more traditional looks, I just did a video on Baroque interior design, so you might find that really interesting if you like some of these more traditional looks. We're seeing arches and curves done in every single kind of style, element, interest, color palette, you name it, we've seen it, or we're seeing it. So very hot, very much continuing to be on trend. Another thing that's become big, and I feel like this is just a product of like the way a lot of things have moved with digital presence and hosting online meetings and engaging with people in a digital way, so via Zoom, online, TikTok, social media, etc., is this creation of a statement wall. So you could say even like what's behind me, like this bookcase could be like a statement wall, but something that's really eye-catching and looks really, really good on screen, on camera, in a meeting, on Zoom, picture-worthy, etc. That has really been something that we've seen more of a lot because of digital presence online and just all of the things. So that is going to continue to be hot, and it is a trend that we are seeing more and more of, these statement walls. Something that I find really interesting, we've talked about it, it's not so much that it's a trend, it's been definitely the movement with, sustainability, but with sustainability comes wellness, and wellness has been a really big push in our design environments. So focusing on organic materials, cozy materials, things that make us feel good and make us feel at home, feel calm, things like wool, cottons, clays, velvet, ceramics, this very organic environment, very almost like very much in touch with nature, is still something that we're seeing a huge presence in our interior design world, and it's still becoming more and more popular. And I don't think it's a trend. I think it's something that we realize is just good for us. So we're going to always kind of see that come down the pipe, but they still end up on the trends list because, it just is what it is. I found this really interesting. Now this one I have definitely seen, based on my channel views, a lot of interest in. I haven't seen as much of it happening yet in the interior design world, but it doesn't mean it won't, because I feel like we're seeing the interest peak on this one, and that is cyberpunk and digital realism. So really starting to see this being applied into the interior design decor. You know, some of the items that you might see already is like those bright neon signs. We've seen them for a while. That's just like a little bit, but like those elements of that cyberpunk kind of look. When we see this big focus and push towards maximalism and like that type of decor aesthetic, and that's really big on trend, I totally get where this cyberpunk / digital realism is really becoming hot in the interior design world. And of course, I still think we have a way to go to really see this kind of play up, but it's trickling in. So I thought that was really interesting. This one I love. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I've mentioned this before. So I watch this tiny house show by Levi. Kelly is the host, and he goes and checks out these Airbnbs, tiny houses, etc. on his channel. If I can find the video that had this image in it, I will link it below. I don't know if I'll remember exactly which one because he does so many. Now, this was amazing. It had this wall in it that was, I think, a custom wallpaper with mushrooms on it. And I thought it was really cool. It was like a black background, had like an old, really cool vintage vibe to it. I think it would look really good in like a moody academia type of a look, because they were all like labeled with like whatever type of fungi they were. I know that was super juicy. But this fungi decor trend is in. And it's funny because I saw that well over a year ago, and I've been a little bit obsessed with mushrooms ever since. They're just interesting visually. Like, they are an interesting looking item, and they have really cool prints. You see really cool like little accent things you can put in your garden. You can bring them inside. And I think we're seeing a lot of these really fun different types of decor, and one of them is this fungi decor. It's really fun, whether it's in a wallpaper or an accessory or whatever. There's definitely this love around the mushroom, the fungi, and I'm here for it. I'm not gonna lie, I am obsessed. I really love it. Let's talk about color. So I'm actually wearing, I don't know how I'll read on camera, but this color is really gonna be poppin' for 2023, and that is lavender. And I'm seeing it in a couple different ways it is used, almost like in this really modern, vibrant way, and then also in a more subdued way. So we're seeing a lot of like return to those pastels. I recently did a video of the postmodern interior design style, and in that you do see in the modern touches of it, this pastel feeling, and lavender is a big color. So that is something, it's a beautiful hue that we have in our, color palette, but we are seeing a real big push with lavender for 2023. Another look aesthetic that is really going to be on trend is this luxury monochromatic style. You're seeing a lot of this in like bathrooms and kitchens, and adding in those touches of gold accents to it. It's a really soft, beautiful look when you bring in this like monochromatic feel throughout a space. And a lot of the interest comes through, different types of materials, but within, the same color palette. So I showed it in my postmodern video. There was this bathroom that was all monochromatic in this like beautiful pink, pastel-y, pinky, lavendery tone, and it was absolutely stunning. So I'll include that image again. Another trend, I don't know if this is a trend so much, but this need and this want for private spaces. So we are seeing a big push on having these isolated spaces where you can get some work done, have a phone call. As much as, having an open space is really beautiful, to look at, there's definitely this resurgence of private spaces that is dedicated for reading, lounging, working, having that quiet zone space. And it could even just be a little corner in your home, but we're definitely see that not just in residential, but we're seeing that in corporate with, you know, a big use of phone booths and private bookable spaces and just being able to have a space that you can kind of get away from the noise. So that is definitely something that is really, really popular. It's been popular for a while, but it's continuing to be a trend that we're seeing. Something that's really exciting, and I'm definitely noticing this, is this reinvented heritage look. So what I mean by that is we're seeing a lot of touches of classical design styles in a new and modern, refreshed way. And I think that's really exciting because we're really playing on some of these historical design styles and aesthetics in today's current trends, which I think is just a lot of fun. Another design trend that we're seeing coming into, I should say that's continuing into 2023, is this Art Deco movement, or encore, shall we say. And what I'm loving about it is it's not super Art Deco traditional. It's more of a modern Art Deco flair, and we're definitely continuing to see that going into 2023 as being something that's really exciting and popular in the interior design landscape. Another fun one, and this one I actually like, I've done this, and that is a designer laundry and mudroom. I've actually just recently did a whole revamp of my own laundry room, added wallpaper, really kind of gussied up the space. I just felt like it needed something. I was like, why does this need to be a boring space? It doesn't. And I wasn't even really looking at to what the trends were, but sure enough, I am not an original thought, creator of this. This is becoming very much on trend to really upscale your laundry room or your mud room and, actually make it as a statement within your home. So I have a few more to touch on with you guys, but if you are enjoying the content of today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel. It lets me know that you're enjoying the content and algorithm and all that, stuff. But I just would greatly appreciate it. The next one, which I just did a video on, yes, I know, sorry, shameless plug. But honestly, I don't do the videos just based off of this. Sometimes I ask you guys for feedback on what you want to see. And sometimes I'm just trying to come up with new ideas and I'm like, what haven't I talked about yet? Well, one of them that I did, and I will do a new updated video because I did get some feedback that it just wasn't in depth enough, because it can go in depth quite a bit. And that is Gothic interior design style. Now, this is it's continuing to become popular in the interior design landscape. And I feel like I've seen that for the last year. Since I've launched my first maximalism video, and I've done a few different maximalism ones, we've talked about these moody maximalist decor styles, or I've included them in videos, and those have gotten so much interest. And when you see a lot of people gravitating towards those, that's a trend that's happening because people are liking that look. So it's no surprise to me that this Gothic, dark, moody interior is really on trend, and it's going to continue to pick up steam. Nostalgia. I've mentioned it already with some of those Renaissance pieces, but basically it's kind of like that grand millennial style that we've talked about, that maximalist style, that vintage, that eclectic, that nostalgia infused interior. Your interior telling a story is going to continue to be hot, hot, hot come 2023. So something that I thought was really interesting while looking at what's coming into fashion for 2023 was these spotlight or interesting alcoves. So we've talked about the arches, and it's a play on that, but also these kind of like intimate little sunken in spaces within a space. I recently watched, I think it was on Netflix, Designing Miami, I believe, and they had a weird little alcove in a space, and they made it into this like focal feature wall. I think it was like a popcorn machine for like a movie room. But seeing that little alcove, these really interesting architectural details within a space, you know, whether it's being designed in the space or has it existing, making it an accent, but making it something that actually does highlight something, whether it's a piece of artwork, a seating area, a sink area, who knows? It could be a lot of different things. But these really interesting alcoves spaces actually turned into a beautiful, eye-catching spot within your home. And the final item that I want to share with you guys today is this trend aesthetic that is perfectly imperfect, and that is not having this completely curated, very pristine look. There's a lot more of a push towards organic, naturally made items, handcrafted items, and just this really beautiful embrace to a little bit more of an organic and I would say less curated vibe to a space. You know, you even see it a lot with like backsplashes where you have this almost imperfect looking tiles where almost no two tiles match. They have this kind of hand crafted look to them. And that is something that we've been seeing and we're continuing to see into 2023. And I'm here for it. I like when things are not quite perfect. I think it just feels a little bit more real, a little less precious, and I'm all for that because it just seems easier to maintain, to be honest. So although trends don't always come to fruition and they ebb and flow and things come and go, it is really exciting to see how much has kind of changed since last year's trends and how much has continued since last year's trends. So it's been fun to deep dive into what we're seeing come down the pipe for 2023. If you're interested in learning about more design styles, I'll include a playlist for you here. And if you do really like that maximalist look, I have a whole playlist of those as well. So I'll show both of them on the screen here for you guys. All right, and until next time, bye.
I grew up in a place where they told you what to chase.